I'm gonna pull the first one. I'll do the honors. And we can just place them there. So actually, let's turn them over.
Okay.
So we're not looking at them. How has your loss affected the way you think about the future? For me, it's like the future is not promised. And so now, like, I just used to work and feel like I could play later. And now it's like, nope, I'm playing now. If I want to take a vacation, I'm taking a vacation. If I want to take my kids somewhere, like, let's do it now, because tomorrow's not promised. I think it's probably like the most thing, like my future as an individual, as a woman, like, will I be somebody else's wife? Like, those type of things I think about, but I don't think I've gotten to a point where I can say how it's affected me until, like, I make another move in that arena, and then I would be able to answer that question. But y'all have anything to add on that question?
No.
If you so feel led, you can tap in. If not, we can move to the next one.
Okay, would you like to draw?
I think for me, as far as my loss for the future, it definitely made me go into that planning mode. Because mine was a sudden, and if you don't have things in order, like will, you know, those kind of things, if you have children, so for me, it was like, let me get my house in order. You know, let me get a will together. Let me start my planning process. So if something happens to me, that now my family know what to do. So that's how it pretty much affected me for my future.
Yeah, and when you told me that sermon, get your life in order.
Yes.
Like, yeah, that resonates. Get your life in order, because you don't know. Like,
exactly.
You don't know.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, Misha, your turn. Where your wine, girl? Where's your wine?
I'm just gonna piggyback off what she said. The get your life in order is very, very mandatory. I tell people that all the time, from life insurance to wills to power of attorneys. To who would be in charge of whatever, who you would give certain things to, because you know you got some people that saying, oh well, I'm such and such, so I definitely deserve this, or I was with this person every day, and it's like he would have wanted his child to have this before you, but you feel entitled. So entitlement is really big when someone dies as well. So they get your life.
People get crazy, don't people?
And they start acting weird, and they start acting.
Why you being weird to me?
It's like, how you want all this stuff from me? If he wanted you to have it, you would have had it already.
Exactly.
It's right where it belongs, and it's where it's going to
stay. Exactly. Yes. Especially if you live in Kentucky, like I was telling her, Kentucky's a Commonwealth state. So you will find out very quickly that the wealth is not common.
Exactly. Nothing is common about this state
at all.
Because you're going to be in probate court so quick, you know?
You will.
So, and that's a whole nother issue and another headache, you know, to deal with. So, it's a lot. Yes, it's a lot.
Get your life in order. It's a Facebook post.
Yes. Get your ducks in a row.
Absolutely.
Your turn, Misha.
Okay. What has been your lowest, most disappointing moment for yourself? I would say my lowest, most disappointing moment for myself was not crying in front of my kids, not showing emotion. That is traumatic within itself. When you don't show emotion, it makes them feel like there's no feeling there, there's no love there. It's not okay to be sad. It's not okay to cry. It's not okay to express yourself. And for a long time, one of my daughters would not cry. She would be like, I'm good, because she would always see me saying that I was good. Honey, them other two, they gonna bawl their eyes out. But the more that I started to cry in front of them and show emotion, the closer that we became as a family, and the more they understood me. It's okay to cry. Would anybody else like to piggyback off that question?
Oh, I think I needed to stay my ass off social media.
Yes.
In the beginning days, like, I just like I look, Facebook gonna show you your memories. And I was just so angry and so like just angry. Any synonym for angry, and when it's like you don't know how to express that, or like you feel like the people closest to you been listening to you express that all day, so it's just like easy to get on Facebook where you feel like you're being heard without having to explain, without having to say it. It's like you can say things without having to look somebody face to face and say them, or having to worry about the weight that's placed on people when you say those things. Yeah.
Or because fearing that people will say, oh, well, I'm sick of hearing the same sob story.
Or that people are thinking that, but they're not going to say it. Yeah, so it's like social media is wonderful for those type of things, but it's a time and a place for everything, right? And so when I look back, the only like disappointment that I have is really just my social media presence during my grieving process. I wish that I had been like a Lauren London. It was just so graceful and just kept it all to myself, what I was going through. But at the same time, a lot of people will reach out to me and say like, I feel that way too, or I'm so glad you said that because I thought I was the only one. So I think it's been it can be beneficial, but for me, like I look back like, girl, why'd you say that shit? I'm just like, you should have just been quiet. Yeah, I think that's like disappointment for me. Have you been disappointed in yourself, Cheryl?
Of course. Of course. I think my lowest, most disappointing moment that for me it was like one day I walked in the house and it was like I just had a great moment and I had just received this award and it was this chair and it was like my husband's chair. So for me to walk into the house and I walk in and I see that chair and it was like it just hit me. He's not here. He's not here to share this with me. Because when you have that partnership, that when your husband is your best friend and that's the first person you share everything with.
Yep.
And then when you walk in and then all of a sudden that moment hits you, that they're not there to share it with, that was my lowest point. And it was like I turned into the crazy mommy dearest when she's like throwing stuff out of the house. I'm like trying to drag this recliner out of my house and I'm crying, I'm going crazy, and I'm calling my family and I'm like, I gotta get this chair out of here today. So that was like my lowest, that was like my lowest point of dealing, with that. So that was like one of my biggest disappointments there, but with that loss.
And look, I'm crying because I literally, like, that's how I feel. It's like, so I lost my husband in 2020. It's now 2022. And literally, I've had so much success professionally in that time frame. And I explain it to people like, I'm very proud of myself, but all of these things were in seed form. Like, that is the person who listened to me create these plans and have these business ideas and told me, that name don't sound good. You need to go with this name or use this word or this color look. Like, that was my literal business partner, without the payroll. And
he worked for free.
Yeah, he worked for free, $4.99. My little intern. But yeah, it is very like, that definitely resonates with me. It's hard because it's like, that's the person who you want to share those things with. And they're not there. And I mean, people can love you and be excited for you and cheer for you, but it's nothing like having that person. Yeah.
So you've been widowed for 2 years.
I've been widowed for 2 years. Yeah.
Okay. How long have you been widowed?
I'm not a widow. He was my children's father, all three of them, but we were together for 10 and a half years. But it's been 10 years now. Well, September the 8th will be 10 years. So next month.
It would be 10 years. Okay.
And how long for you?
It's been 25 for me. It's been 25 years.
So you at a break-even point where you have now had him or been without him for as long as you had him. I'm fresh and, I mean, not fresh, but I'm still new in this thing.
Yes.
And Cheryl is an OG vet in the game.
Yes.
I think that's a good well-rounded experience for us to be like having this conversation.
And I can learn a whole lot from her, but I can learn from you too. And we could all learn from each other and still teach each other, because it's a learning process. Grief is not easy.
It is. I was married at 19 and widowed at 30.
Wow.
So, that's why I was telling her, I was like, I can definitely relate to, what you're going through, because I was widowed at your age, being young. So it's definitely a lot, especially, because that 30, it's just like, this is the time that we're supposed to be living our best damn life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And that you had a life plan, that you had this life that you've seen for yourself.
Yes.
That existed one day, and then 20 minutes later,
it's gone.
It was gone.
Yes.
And even as still new into it as I am, I have told you several times at this point, I can learn so much from you. And I just watched Misha and knew of her because, my brother's baby mama and just, being in Louisville stuff. So I knew of her, but I didn't know her. But just seeing her kids and the grace that she exuded while raising her kids, I'm like that's dope to see.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so I think it's I met my husband, we started dating in 2013. So we was together 3 years before we got married. And then we were married. It would have been our 5-year anniversary the year that I lost him. But so 8 years with somebody, she's got 10 years in. So I may be a wife, and I had been a wife for almost 5 years, but you've been with your person for 10 years. So even on a relationship, speaking about relationships, I can learn from you. You know what I mean? We can both learn from Cheryl, and maybe Cheryl's in a space where she is wanting somebody to have another spouse, and you younger than Cheryl, but
I end up having
you're in that space.
Okay.
And so it's
great.
I wholeheartedly believe that as women, we choose not to share some of our weakest, our darkest moments, because who wants to do that? But that if we do share those and talk amongst each other more, it's beneficial, because you ain't been through nothing that somebody else ain't been through.
Right.
Everybody goes through the same stuff at different times. If you can't understand what I'm living and what I'm going through now, just give it some time.
Right.
And you something will happen that puts you in a situation where it's dang, now that's me. Or maybe it happens really close to you, and it's wow, now I've seen that up close, and now I can understand that person. So let's put another card.
Okay.
It's your turn.
Yes. Yeah.
The wine.
It's our turn. Okay. If you made a list of top 3 ways you need others to show up for you, what would be on your list? Ooh,
Sure, you babysitting your wine. I'm just saying.
That's one thing that's on my top 3 is the wine. Okay. Made a list of the top 3 ways you need others to show up.
But now, in this time, what does that even mean? This long after, what does showing up for your grieving mean?
I mean, after this, it's I feel I've been through so much by myself.
Oh my goodness.
So it's how can I explain this? I've been through this so much by myself that it's you learn the hard way to be strong and to be tough by yourself. And to be that true meaning of an independent woman, and to be independent. But then it's after years, I always say, I'm not so independent that I don't want to be dependent on a man. Because I do want to have that in my life again. But if I don't remarry again, I mean, I always say, I thank God for what I had, and I had that true meaning of love. So, you know, it's like, I don't really need others, but, you know, wanting someone, and you know, is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can concur.
Yeah.
I don't need nobody.
Right. It's like,
but
Everybody needs somebody, actually.
Yes.
I used to have that same attitude, but after losing my children's father,
yes.
and then meeting my husband, he showed me that I needed him. And it's the most powerful thing I ever been through, because I always felt like, I don't need you.
Yes.
Back up. I got it. I can fix this. I can do this. I can buy this. I can get this. I can go to work. I can do it all by myself. But then the protection, the love, the security, the reassurance every single day made me know that I did need him.
Yes.
I was just looking for things and running into people that was just not for me. So, of course, those people made me feel like I needed to push them away and I didn't need them. But everybody needs somebody.
Absolutely.
And going through therapy, I actually showed me that.
And let me just say this, because I don't know your husband, but I love your husband. I know
that's right.
Girl, I'm like, your husband?
What a compliment.
Absolutely, because any man that can step in
Yes.
and wholeheartedly love another man's children and say, these are my babies,
Yes.
and tell you, mama, I got you.
I know. And sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes he goes so hard with it, he makes me feel like I'm the step parent. He tell me, like, you pick up my kids from school, and I'm like, what? That's his kids. What are you talking about? No, what are you talking about? Those are his kids. Go hard.
Go, daddy.
We'll be having date night or something before my son. Not really for my daughters, because they're kind of older than my son. But my son, we would be looking for a babysitter. He'd be like, I already called mama to talk about my mom. And I'm like,
Yeah.
are you taking everybody away from me? Do you think these people belong to you? But he's a great person. He's a great person.
Thing. That's a beautiful.
You're gonna have to meet him.
Yes. Yes. No.
Yeah, I'm not there yet. I'm still in the, like, it's hard doing it by yourself, right? Like, it's not ideal. It's not the way I want it to be. But at this moment, because I understand that things change, and the way I feel last year is not the way I feel this year, and I'm sure it won't be the way I feel next year. But right now, I feel like I don't need a man in my household. Like, if I have a little boo and we take flights and, you know, link up and have fun and enjoy each other's company, that's fine. But I don't need you trying to, like, be a father figure to my children. I don't need you in my household, because I'm not at a point where I could see myself having a household with somebody who's not my husband. Like, that's weird to me. And I have a fear. I can identify that now, which is progress, okay? I have a fear of me and a person not working out, and then my kids have to go through loss again. Like, loss of a father figure when they've already went through the loss of their father, or just, my daughter's not even gonna remember him. So just, like, having mentally, like, dang, my daddy's not here. And then the person who I came to know as a father is not here. And I don't want to put them through that.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
Me and my son it's what my son's going through right now. He doesn't remember their father. He was only 8 months old.
My daughter was like 6.
He doesn't remember at all. So all he knows is my husband. If he loses him, that
that's
would be a
his
tragedy.
father. Yeah.
That's his father.
How does that make you feel?
Sometimes I worry about it. Sometimes I overthink. But then sometimes I'm like, my husband's taught my son so many things and has been so good to him. He will never forget his love. Ever. He will never forget his love. And I appreciate him so much for that. He'll never forget
Regardless,
his
that's gonna always be daddy. That's daddy. Yeah.
But my children's father's family actually love my husband too. They be like, "You're the issue." I'm like, "No, but you didn't hear this part. Issue. They're not like you're the issue. He's everything." So that's the great thing.
That's
as
beautiful.
Well. A lot of people don't be. They're like, "What? His family like him? Why do they like him?" Everybody loves Corey.
But why would you not though? Like if somebody's stepping up
Exactly.
and loving and protecting and providing for these children, like how can you not? Even if you don't like it, how can you not respect it?
A lot of like people love him, but I could say my friend has went through something similar in the family. It's like, you're the devil, you're doing this, you're trying to take the memories away, and it's like, it's not that.
Did you ever have a moment when your children's father's family did not agree with somebody you was with, or like
he's been the only person I've been with? No, he's been the only person I've been with. And I didn't want to be with him. I kept saying, because he walking up, shaking my hand, telling me nice things, asking me if my kids need anything. I'm like, I don't need anything. They got me. They need you for. I was like, Then you shaking my hand is giving me weird vibes. And he was like, what's wrong with her? My cousin said, stay away from her. She's not right. She's evil. She's this. And so my blood cousin was telling him all of these things. Was like, she's not the person for you. She would truck you. She's used to hood dudes. This ain't what you want. He worked out perfectly. Yep, he's been the only person I've been with.
And when did y'all meet? Like, how long after?
No, we met before. But when he came up and shook my hand and stuff, and I was like, don't shake my hand. Don't touch me. And he was like, I was just being respectful, just coming up to introduce myself. I've been looking at you. I wanted you to, this is my name. What's your name? So I was like, Kelly Bundy. And he thought I was lying. And I'm like, I'm not lying. That's really my name. And he's like, that's not your name. So time went by, and then my children's father got killed. And then he came looking for me again. I was like, this is weird. Where is he coming from? But then his mom seen me at one of my cousin's funeral and was like, you gonna be with my son. I'm gonna make sure you be with my son. My son loved you.
Wow.
So she gave him my number. He called me, and we stayed on the phone for 8 hours straight. Like back to back, when the phone was going dead, he's calling back. And I was like, 2 days later, I was like, so what are we doing? Because this is, kind of weird. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, we go together. He said, okay, we go together.
Real bad.
And we've been together ever since.
Wow.
Wow.
No, that's beautiful.
That is.
Ever since.
That is.
A lot of people didn't think it was good for us to get married. We had people that was in his family actually that said like, y'all shouldn't get married because he don't have any kids and you have kids. We ran into that, but we still got married.
See, and that's something, and I guess I should draw a card, but just because we on the topic of it anyway, off camera, you was talking about getting your tubes untied because your husband doesn't have any biological children. And that's another thing for me is my tubes are tied. And so I feel like I'm not trying to create no household with nobody, especially if you ain't got no kids, because I don't want you resenting me because you don't got no kids.
Exactly.
And I got kids. Like, it's just so
I thought about that.
Yeah, it's so many different dynamics to think about because, of course, like being in a relationship and especially a marriage, you are obligated to think about this other person. It's not just
at
yourself.
All times.
And I'm in a space where, like, I met my husband at 23. We were stuck together like glue ever since, until I lost him right before turning 30. So I'm enjoying my solitude. And I'm, like, in this space in year 2 where it's, like, this is nice. Like, I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy it just being quiet, being able to hear my thoughts. I enjoy being selfish. I enjoy if I want to do my room in powder pink, I can do my room in powder pink because it's not a man that I got like, oh, this is too girly. Or just like those things that you don't even think about when you marry. But like now in this singleness, I'm like, this is nice. I'm enjoying this. But it's inspirational to hear the story very much. But that's just something else that I think about. It's like, and I don't know that I want more. I don't want no right now. I don't want no more kids. Look, I got a boy, I got a girl. I'm done. I hate being pregnant. I look like a big Oompa Loompa. I'm not trying to do it again. But I don't know. I guess I'm back to me. Do you celebrate your loved one's birthday? If so, how? So I do. I usually ask my kids what they want to do. And they like balloons because they kids and they like balloons. And releasing balloons is something that you do anyway. Mm-hmm. So we usually end up doing balloons and like I let them write their names or like draw a heart on the balloon or something like that. If I come into town, I will do dinner. So I like do dinner with my in-laws or my stepkids. But I'm getting to a place where it's like, sometimes it's not feasible for me to make a 6.5 hour trip to do a birthday dinner. And like, I felt really guilty about, well, we celebrated his birthday this year, but his death anniversary, I didn't come home for, and I felt guilty about it. And then I started thinking, well, like, we lived here. Our family was here. Like, he passed here. Y'all should be coming to Atlanta. Like, we should be coming here and doing something at, you know, the last place where he took his last breath. Like, we should be doing that here. And then I got kind of, like, angry and resentful. Like, well, why do I have to accommodate people to celebrate the person I love? Like, they should be accommodating me and my kids. And then it just transformed into, well, what is an expectation? And do you want to set an expectation that people, for people to expect you to travel every year? Is that feasible for you? If you are, like, you know, down the line are with somebody else, what does that look like? And so if I start this tradition now and then I get with somebody else and they're like, well, since she got with so-and-so, she don't even do this. Like, which is kind of my problem, is that I can never stop thinking. I just keep thinking and thinking and thinking about all the different scenarios. But that's why I was this year, like, is it traumatizing my kids to celebrate his birthday every year and he's not here? Like, what does this really mean? What does this look like? And what is the best thing, if there's a best thing to do? Like, what does this look like now? What is this going to look like in the future? And what role does my actions now play in the expectations that people have for me in the future? So, like, we celebrate now, and I think that we always will. Right now, I feel like we always will. But I have friends who have lost their parents at a very young age, like my kids, and it's like, oh yeah, today's my daddy's birthday. And I'm like, dang, I don't want my kids to ever be like, oh yeah, like like it's not important. But at the same time, like, if you don't even remember your father, is that traumatizing to celebrate that? So I'm still kind of figuring out what that looks like in the future. I take all advice. Any advice is welcome. But I think we, as of right now, we celebrate birthdays and death anniversaries. But I also, like, on his death anniversary, I'm like, bro, I don't want to fucking celebrate. Like, this is not a celebratory occasion. And I know, like, you know, this life is over and it's a new life and it's a transition and we should celebrate that. And almost every other culture celebrates death aside from us. But that's hard for me to do. And then it's like, sometimes I feel good on that day. Sometimes I don't. And I might plan a dinner and then I get with y'all and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to be here. Right. But as of now, we celebrate. What do y'all do? Do you still celebrate, Sharon?
For me, it's kind of different because my husband's birthday is a day after Christmas. Mm-hmm. So we had this thing like Christmas, a lot was at my house with family celebrating Christmas. So we have this huge grandfather's clock in my living room. So it would never fail. Christmas Day, everybody, you know, they all juiced up. You know, everybody done had plenty to drink all day. He's looking at the clock. Then when it's almost 12 o'clock, he would make everybody in the house, shut up. Y'all be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. Listen, listen. And the clock would chime 12 o'clock. And his drunk ass be in the middle of the floor. Happy birthday! And he makes everybody, join in, y'all, join in. You know, so it was like that, at my house. So it's like, it was hard for me to even enjoy Christmas because it's like my Christmas are not the same because he wasn't there. And, and everybody's like opening all of these, great gifts. Oh, look, my husband bought me a new Gucci. And I'm just like,
Yep.
And then it's like, after a while, I didn't want to have Christmas at my house because I didn't want to hear that damn clock chime at 12 o'clock. And we had Christmas at my house. I was good. The family left, everything, that evening I'm good. And all of a sudden, that clock chimed. And it just took me to that space, that dark space that I'm literally like knocked off my feet for a couple of days. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just in my crying mode. So, it's like it hits everybody kind of different. But for me, it's like I can't do the celebration thing because, like you said, for me, it's not a celebration. Mm-hmm. So it's still, it's 25 years later, I still have my moments like now. You know what I'm saying? It's like his birthdays. Like you said, the date that he died. Some years I'm good. I can celebrate Christmas, have a great time with family. But then some years it's like I can't do it.
It never stops.
It never.
And I think that's what people may not understand until they go through it.
Yes.
Is that grief never stops.
Yes. Yes.
And it can be the smallest thing. Like I had my husband he was the cook. He taught me how to cook.
That's
the cooking I know how to do.
That's all me.
Yeah, the cooking I know how to do because and so he was the cook. And he was like, and his family is just like old school. They cook. So like my mom was old school, but she didn't cook old school meals for us, Mm-hmm. So he grew up on real old food, and he like, hey, you've never had it was some type of rice. Like I can't remember exactly. No. It was chicken fried in a certain type of flour. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm about to turn you on. And he bought the little like seasoning, the flour seasoning or whatever. And so I had moved like immediately after losing my husband, I moved. And I was in my new house. And of course, like, I had boxes of stuff that was from the old house. And I had put the stuff up. And wasn't even thinking about it, just putting stuff away. And it wasn't like till a month later. I'm going through my stuff, going through my cabinets looking for something to cook. And I see that damn seasoning for that chicken. And I lost it. Like, I literally broke down. And I was like, so is this what my life is about to be? Like, one thing that
can trigger you.
Trigger you, mm-hmm. And like it gives you that memory, and then it just brings back all these feelings of everything all over again.
Yes.
So that's scary that you still experience.
That's why I love the fact that she has remarried. Mm-hmm. That's why I love that fact, because you never lose that feeling of the father of your children. But now you have someone there that is that cushion, that is that relief for you. Mm-hmm. Like you said, you have that feeling of security. There's someone to put their arms around you to say, baby, I got you. So that makes it a whole lot easier.
It does.
A whole lot easier than, walking that walk by yourself. I remember, like I said, when I widowed, I was y'all's age. I was in my 30s. And I remember women that was now my age, like me talking to you guys, would always say to me, was like, please find someone else. Please find someone else. You shouldn't be alone. It's okay. He wouldn't want you to be alone. So that's what I was sharing with her. I'm like, at your time, I want you to be open to it. Mm-hmm. Don't close that off. Because, you guys are still young, beautiful women, so it's like, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Because if I could turn back the hand of time, if I had someone that was, and I probably, like yourself, I done blew so many people off because I'm like, Lord have mercy, where did he get them damn shoes from?
Like, you thought that was cute.
Like, child, did he just walk up in here with this goofy ass polo shirt on? I was going so instead of listening to the man's conversation,
I'm still focused on his shoes and that ugly shirt. I'm still focused on him talking about my mama's calling. My mama's your mama's wedding to work out.
Yes, so I probably have turned down a lot of good men that probably could have been a good mate for me, but at that time, in my life, it's like those blinders, So that's why, I'm like, if I could turn back, that's one thing I do regret that I, had not. And I'm not saying it's over for me now with being 55, because it still could very much happen. Mm-hmm. But, and it does, kind of ease that. Because I have been in relationships. I mean, don't think that I've been sitting here like 25 years, just sitting here, grieving, because I've had, relationships, and I've had long-term relationships. But, it's like it does. And I have found when I'm in a relationship, it does make it easier, like to do the little Christmas holidays and stuff like that, even though his birthday's the day after Christmas. But it makes it a little easier to get through that process.
Do you ever feel guilty about being with somebody else on his birthday?
No. No. Because, like I said, I've had long-term relationships. Like, I dated someone, we dated for like 4 years. And it's like, it was like all about us for Christmas, things like that. He knew my husband's birthday was the day after Christmas. He knew that. But it was like, because I explained to him, like, sometimes I have my good years, my bad years. But he was so, loving in that to make sure that my mind was occupied so much that I wasn't focused on that day.
Yeah.
So.
And that's beautiful.
Yes.
That means that somebody cares about you.
Yes.
As for me and my family, we do celebrate death anniversaries and birthdays. And a lot of that is due to my sister and my husband. My husband, I can't say that he's because of the birthdays, but he takes the kids to the cemetery every Sunday. I worked Thursday through Sunday, so I wouldn't be able to make it. And he didn't want to feel like he was trying to replace their dad. He wanted them he wanted my kids to know that he was the addition, the extra love. So he's always taking them to the cemetery. He's always taking them to to do things as far as things they got to do with their dad. He's taking them to therapy when I was unable to. So, but other than that, we celebrate the birthdays and the death anniversaries, and my husband be right there with us. I have someone that's not jealous and insecure, like, oh, you still thinking about him? Because that's an issue as well. My friend, like I said, she's going through hers like the reversal of mine. She has someone that's like, why do you care about his birthday? He's gone. He's dead. You should be worried about him. Whereas my husband's like, we going to the cemetery whether you go or not. However you feeling, I'm still taking them to the cemetery because that's what they want to do. And they know that this is the tradition for Sundays.
See, that's why I said I'm
He's everything.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's why I say I love her husband because he's very understanding of that. And it takes a special person, to, like I said, understand your feelings, the kids' feelings, and their needs. So, yes, kudos to him.
I do want to say the communication needs to be, brought into the situation. A lot of people aren't familiar with communicating with other people and telling them, your expectations and your desires and how you feel and what you want out of a relationship. Some people say, oh, he's a great man because he took my kids to get McDonald's. Whereas me, when I first got with him, I was like, look, I just lost my child's father. This is what I do want. I don't want. Don't do this. Don't do that. But my oldest daughter, she's the one that came to me and was like, is it okay if we call him Daddy? I was like, Daddy? Yeah, no, you can't call him Daddy. Then I got to thinking, I was like, oh, well, I don't know. Let's see how it work out. You can, but the other two won't until they're comfortable. Well, they just follow suit, and they've been doing it ever since. So it's just, that's their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
That is.
And then if I'm mad at them, they be like, well, we don't got nothing to do with it. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, y'all do. They're like, no, we don't. That's between y'all. I'd be like, well, no, your daddy, he went to the store and he did this. He only bought himself something. They're like, no, he got us something. Oh, he's man. So those are the type of things that we're going through now. So I'm very appreciative for it, though, for it all. Because, you know, some people could be fake and be like, oh, no, I'm just going to stick with whatever my man says. And I'm not going to go to the December service. I'm not going to celebrate a birthday or a death anniversary. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You can't erase your past.
Oh, whose turn to pull a cord? Look, I can't remember. I don't know if I'm coming together.
If you could change one thing you've done since losing your love, what would it be and why? If I could change one thing, I think it would be what do I want to change? I don't know what I would change, honestly. I'm one of those people that thank God for the good and the bad because it's made me who I am.
So it sounds like you wouldn't change anything.
I don't think I would change anything because I feel like if I was to change one simple thing, you know, that feeling where if you change one thing about something, they could have took me in a whole different direction and could have placed me in the arms of somebody else who was a horrible person, an insecure man, or even just the friends that I surround myself with. Like, I've grown so much. I don't know what I would change. I'm going to come back to this.
So no change.
I don't know. I can't think of a change. Maybe I am a little tipsy. It's something I would probably want to change, but I can't think of what it is at the moment for whatever reason.
Okay, we'll table that way.
Like I said, the only thing that I would change is relationship. Because I would love to remarry. You know, like I tell her, I'm always open to marriage. So one thing I would change is really focusing on relationship.
I kind of spoke a little bit to something I would change as far as like being on social media or like letting that be my outlet. But if I had to think like outside of that, I went through a little phase, y'all. It's really not funny, but it wasn't really a phase. It was like I lost my husband, right? And he had a lot of merch, you know? And so I just did what I knew to do because, of course, I needed money. And if I have this product that makes money, I need to get rid of it. Right, yeah. And I ain't dumb. You know, I've been around, I've seen a lot, and I don't be around these things and not learn what's going on. So, but that put me in some situations that I shouldn't have been in, one. And two, I didn't need to be in the mental state that I was in at that point in time. So I think if I could change anything, it would be that, just like the way I handled business after losing him. And then like my cousin-in-law actually put it to me. She's like, cuz like, you just embodying him, you know, like you are like, and it's okay, I'm not judging you for it. She's like, but you are not trying to be him, but just carrying on his energy and just carrying him on. But that's not for you to do. Like, that's not your lane. That's not even what you meant to be doing. And so I think if I could change anything, that would be it. But maybe I don't need to change that because, like you said, that taught me, like, girl, get your ass out them streets and go and, you know, find, because my thing, like, I know the lifestyle that my husband was used to. I know the lifestyle that he wants our children to have. And so I want to give them, because I've never been big on name brand. I just never had that growing up. I didn't grow up like that. So it didn't matter to me. Like, now I like nice shit. You know, I like my little bags and stuff like that. But in my younger years, I can go to Charlotte Russe to get an outfit. I don't care. It don't make me no. It don't make me no difference. And so it was really like knowing that now my husband has a standard. Like it's a certain way my kids need to look. It's a certain type of lifestyle that my kids need to have access to. It's a certain type of education. Like those were his standards, and I wanted to not disappoint him. But of course, going from 2 incomes to 1 income, like that's difficult. And so I felt like this is the way that I sustain this lifestyle. And that's like, but that wasn't the right thing to do. And that's why I really like when I tell my real estate clients, like, y'all saved my life, like y'all help me just as much as I help y'all. I mean it, because real estate is how I provide the lifestyle my kids need to have without trying to be in the streets and do stuff that I ain't really got no business doing anyway. You know what I mean? I don't got no business out in the streets, especially without my husband. Like, who's going to protect me besides myself? You know, and then as a female, people they automatically try to get over on you. Yeah.
They want to lowball you.
Yeah.
They want to argue with you. And I'm like...
all of it. So
especially the people that you know that you wouldn't even play with me if he was still hurt. And it's a lot of that goes on as well. It's
a lot of it. So that's what I would take back. But I guess maybe not. So I think I'm with you, Misha. I think I'm undecided right now. Is it my turn to pick a card?
Sure. We got to touch back on the business thing too now.
Okay.
We got to circle back on that one.
I think it's 2 stuck together.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I think this is something like, okay.
If we
was your low your first significant loss? If not, do you feel you were more equipped to handle the loss by having a previous experience?
That was my first.
My husband was my first significant loss.
Yeah.
So we all in the same boat there.
It was definitely my first significant loss.
So since it was all of our first, do you feel that you have been better equipped to handle loss since then? Or does it make it harder?
I think it's been easier because losing someone that you wake up with, you go to bed with, you argue with, you smile with, you laugh with, you have a good time with, you have bad days with, and you still love this person. It's made it easier throughout the years, and I've lost so many people since then. It's been like, okay, I can deal with it a little better. And then I got into therapy, me and the kids, directly after it happened. Mm-hmm. So I knew some of the tactics that I needed to use to see myself through the grief.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I have not, so like I started doing some therapy, but I think my therapist is triggered by my husband's death because she counseled both of us. So we did individual counseling with her, and she also did our marriage counseling. And so it's been like she just dodges me. She don't take my phone calls. Yeah, right? Like, that's so weird. And when I tell you, like, when my husband first, like, I called her the next day. She was at my house, like, very supportive. Met my mama, my sorority sisters, like, checked in. And she had, when the tree fell on my house, I lost it. And so I called and I'm like, you have to answer the phone because I need somebody to process this with. And so I ended up getting on the phone with her, and she was like, you know, and my memory is terrible these days, so I might have it wrong, but it was her nonprofit that, like, the name of her nonprofit, my husband had taken a picture. We went to Vegas like a month before I lost him, maybe a couple months. He took a picture in front of this black and white wall, and it just had all these different inspirational words on it. And she said, and I used that picture for his arrangements and stuff. She said, when you sent me the obituary, the name of her organization was in the wall behind him.
Wow.
Yep. And she was like, girl, it took me out. And so because she shared that with me, I can now just use, deductive reasoning. Yes. Like, I think she's triggered by it. Mm-hmm. And I wish that she would just say something instead of like, I keep calling you and I can't get a hold of you, because I really don't want to go to any other therapist, because who can I talk to that knew my husband? Mm-hmm. and understood him and even knew him outside of me because y'all have your own sessions. But I think God is pushing me to somebody else for whatever reason. Like maybe, I guess that's what I need because I've not been able to get a hold of her in a whole year at this point. And I'm just like, I don't want nobody else. Like, she know me, she know him. I don't want to talk to nobody else.
I think with therapists too, they know how to, tell you what your problems are, but they don't know how to look at themselves and say, this is what my issue is. Mm-hmm. So that could be an issue as well.
It could, but I think that she's triggered by that, and so for that reason, she's not able to counsel me. So I've not got into the therapy piece, but I realize how important it is, and I do want to do it. It's just like being able to open up to somebody, because especially for my kids, like my son gets so mad, and even like when I think back to the day of the funeral, and just like our pictures, our videos, and what I seen, like. The girls was okay, but them boys, like you could just see in their face, like. And then I didn't know how to tell my kids, which my daughter, like, she couldn't even comprehend at that point in time, but I didn't know how to tell them. So I never told my son. I took him to the funeral. And I felt like that's the only way for him to understand. He's 3. So if I'm like, and he's autistic. So for me to say, oh, well, like your daddy died or he's not coming back, or I never told him, so I don't know what people say. But whatever I would have chose to say, I didn't feel that my son was going to register that. But I felt like they didn't stay at the funeral, but I took them up to the casket because I didn't know how to tell them. That was my way of telling them. And like the look in my son's eyes. And then we I took them up there and we ran outside to just get the family pictures real quick before they took the younger, because my mama took the kids, so they went there the whole time. And when I look at those pictures and I see my son's face and the look in his eyes, it's like, what the fuck is this? Right. What did I just see? Like, what is this? And so my stepdaughters, they're older, so, they process things differently. But I just look at the girls and I look at the boys. And even my stepson, his face is lifeless when I go back and look at those pictures. And so sometimes I wonder, like, did I do the right thing by taking him and letting him see that? But he's so angry. Like, even if I just be like, we pray every day. And I'm like, do you got something you want to tell your daddy today? Or like about your day? Like, you went to the swimming pool. You want to tell daddy that you went swimming today or whatever it is. And he used to enjoy that. But now he gets so angry if I bring up his daddy. And I'm like, does that make you sad? He's like, yes, Mom, it makes me angry. And he knows the difference between sad and angry. Right. So if my son say he's angry about something, he's angry. So all of that to say, the therapy, like, I need to make that a priority.